Good morning, everyone. My name is Nan Janke, and on behalf of the Parish Committee, I'd like to welcome you all to the service here at First Parish this morning. We are a little topsy-turvy here today, as our usually indomitable minister, the Reverend Lisa Perry Wood, has conceded defeat in a now week-long struggle with a very persistent virus, and so she will not be joining us here today, at least not in this beautiful sanctuary. She did rally yesterday and was able to come to officiate at the memorial service for our dear friend Sandy Hoyt, and for that we are very grateful. May good health find you soon, Lisa. So Lisa's not here today, but two loyal parishioners have stepped up to fill in for her to lead this service today. They are Kathy Schmidt, let me stand up, chair of the lay ministers again this year, and Emily Milchak in the choir, our treasured singer and visionary speaker, who has recently begun her own path to ministry as a Unitarian Universalist minister. So I think we are probably in very capable hands. However, the service may not exactly resemble the service that is described in the order of service. There may be some substitutions, some confusions along the way. I hope we can just embrace change and kind of go with the flow like the good Unitarian Universalists that we are. A special welcome to any newcomers and visitors who are here with us today. Thank you for coming. If you are the gregarious type of newcomer, or if you have questions about Unitarian Universalism, I encourage you to grab one of these red mugs, which are set aside specially for newcomers in the... What does gregarious mean? Oh, gregarious means really outgoing and talkative, and you're really looking for companionship and conversation. So grab one of these. These are set aside just for newcomers, and if you wave it around a little bit, I guess, some friendly person will come over and talk to you. If that is not the kind of thing you're looking for during coffee hour, you can go to the welcome table, and a member of the membership team will also be happy to answer any of your questions. Speaking of embracing change, we have turned on the heat for the autumn, and it is quite noisy in the back sometimes when the heat rushes up, and I'm going to ask folks to move forward a little bit, if you wouldn't mind picking up and moving forward. This also is nice for the people who are online. They see a more congregant congregation. Thank you. No matter who is in the pulpit or leading a service on any given day, they stand to serve the mission of this congregation, and that mission is fourfold. It is to build community, to search for meaning, to deepen our spirituality, and to make a better world. 3 reminders. 2 electronic and 1 spooky. The electronic ones are, please silence your cell phones, and then turn your attention to the camera on the left-hand wall and wave to the folks who are here on Zoom. And maybe Reverend Lisa will see you there, not sure. The spooky reminder is that there are still some Halloween decorations available for pickup in Shed 9, which is unlocked. So help yourself after the service. I now invite the Sambuco family to come forward to light our chalice.
Good morning. With open minds and loving hearts, we gather to search for meaning, to care for one another, and to work together for a better world.
Is there anything else, Kathy? Our service will now begin.
Good morning. I am Kathy Schmidt, the lay minister today, and my pronouns are she, hers. I am happy to be filling in for Reverend Lisa. Just try to take a breath and imagine her standing her. I will be speaking her words. Even though she really was not well this week, she prepared a beautiful service yesterday in memoriam to Sandy Hoyt, and she also prepared the sermon that the service we will be giving you today. And also let's think about Reverend Lisa and hope that she gets better. I imagine she's in her pajamas with a cup of tea watching us now. This morning, we reflect on Indigenous Peoples Day and the very hopeful Land Back movement, an effort to return and or share stewardship and care of original tribal lands and waters with the Indigenous people from whom they were stolen centuries ago. We begin today with the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement created by the Wayland Human Rights, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. This land acknowledgement is read aloud before every meeting of the Wayland Human Rights, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee. Land acknowledgements are important for non-Indigenous people because they draw attention to the history of the land that we reside on, help us understand our place in that history, and sensitize us to the forces of colonialism and oppression today. A land acknowledgement is a starting point for learning, reflecting, and action. It reads, "Today, we would like to acknowledge the following Indigenous peoples on whose traditional homelands we live, work, and gather today: the Massachusett, the Nipmuc, the Wampanoag, and the Pawtucket. We acknowledge their ancestors, particularly Carto of the Massachusett tribe, who was steward of much of the land now encompassing Sudbury and Wayland when European settlers arrived to colonize this place in 1638. We seek to understand, acknowledge, and remember the painful ongoing history of war, genocide, and forced removal of Indigenous peoples by European settlers. And we offer a living celebration of the Indigenous communities who are not just part of the past, but who continue to live and make new history here today. May we all commit to deepening our relationships with Indigenous communities and to being their allies in working for justice. Now our service begins. Please rise, embody your spirit, and join in singing hymn 1020 in the teal hymnal. I'm going to give this my best shot. Wo ya ya.
Me too, I'm Spartacus. Today it's going to be no, I'm not so-and-so, so I'm not Kate today. Welcome. So I have this story. Kate's asked me to read We Are the Water Protectors. And this story has a little chorus in the middle of it. And you can find that on the lyrics, the very bottom of the page. Not a sung chorus, just a spoken one. So it goes like this. Here, I'll give you a little bit more time at the bottom of the page. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. Can we say that together? We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. So we're still here, the water protectors, still here, some of us with Native American ancestry. That's not me, but some of you, I'm sure. So when we get there, a couple times I'll let you know. So this is a really beautiful book, by the way, with gorgeous illustrations. It's kind of a lap book. So I'm going to try to make it my best to make it a public book here. So We Are the Water Protectors, written by Carol Lindstrom and illustrated by Michaela Goade. Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. We come from water. It nourished us inside our mother's body, as it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. Here we go, it's our time. Ready? We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land. Spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. And I don't know if you can see this illustration, this black metal snake. Are you beginning to see what that is? An oil pipeline? Yeah. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now, the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Can you see how the black snake, that metal black snake, has coursed across the land? And here's our hero of the story. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together to stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. You ready? It's our time. Here we go. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We just sang that actually in Woyaya. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, the winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged, the two-legged, the plants, the trees, the rivers, the land. The earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit, Nokomis told me. Water is alive. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. It's our part again. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. The end.
Kate, you want to help out? Is it time for the children to leave?
It's time for the kids to come to seek.
Yes.
That's okay. You did a great job.
is now time for the offering. The offering we give each week is a symbol of our commitment to this faith community and to the life and works of our congregation. Instructions on how to donate online are in the order of service. If you are here for the first time, please let the plate pass you by. You are our guest. This week, we share our plate with the Native Land Conservancy. This Indigenous-led land conservation nonprofit works to protect, share, and restore land and water for the four-legged, the two-legged, the winged, and the finned. The Native Land Conservancy is an Indigenous-led land conservation nonprofit based in Mashpee, Mass. Its board members come from a variety of Native American tribal communities. The mission of the Native Land Conservancy is to preserve and restore healthy landscapes for all living things wherever possible, remembering that our relationship with the earth is one that is familial and seeking to preserve land for future generations. Instructions for giving are in your order of service. Please give as generously as you can. We receive your generosity with gratitude and in appreciation of all that sustains us. Your gifts maintain the strength of this community and all it does within these walls, as well as the work we do together to make the world a better place. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. This is the time in our service we set aside to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we all hold. In both our sharing and in our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. We will start by lighting a vigil candle in recognition of the pain and suffering experienced around the world due to ongoing war, violence, and political division. In this moment, may we pray together for the end to all suffering. If you have a personal joy or sorrow that you would like to share, please feel free to come forward now or raise your hand and I will bring you the mic. Please join me now in the spirit of prayer with these words of Reverend Jude Geiger. Spirit of life, God of many names, source of hope, we come together at the end of another week, some worn down by struggles of health, of home, or work. May we be a community that makes space for the sharing of joys and sorrows, angers and hopes with grace and forbearance. In our nation's life, we pause this holiday weekend to remember the Native American lives lost from the European colonization on what is now our soil. Teach us to remember our history. As we seek to make amends for what has come before, may we learn from those ways, never to repeat them in our lives today. May we develop new ways of relating to neighbor and stranger without violence or coercion, deceit, or greed. May we find a sense of humility where we have privilege and strength where we face oppression. In our struggles, may we learn compassion, and in our power, may we learn temperance. As a community of faith, may we be a safe harbor in a world that is often harsh toward difference. Challenge us to use our presence as a healing force for justice and equity, knowing that although we have come far in the civil rights struggles of our times, there are many people who are still left behind, and the work of building the beloved community is just as pressing as ever before. Now please enjoy the music coming for meditation.
The reading today is Once the World Was Perfect. This is by Joy Harjo, who was the first Native American Poet Laureate, serving from 2019 to 2022. Once the world was perfect, and we were happy in that world. Then we took it for granted. Discontent began a small rumble in the earthly mind. Then doubt pushed through with its spiked head. And once doubt ruptured the web, all manner of demon thoughts jumped through. We destroyed the world that we had been given for inspiration and for life. Each stone of jealousy, each stone of hatred, fear, envy, and greed put out the light. No one was without a stone in their hand. There we were, right back where we had started. We were bumping into each other in the dark. And now we had no place to live because we did not know how to live with each other. Then one of the stumbling ones took pity on another and shared a blanket. A spark of kindness made a light. A light made an opening in the darkness. Everyone worked together to make a ladder. A Wind Clan person climbed out first into the light of this next world. And then the other clans, the children of those clans, their children, and their children, all the way through time to now, into this morning light to you. Okay, I had to look up Wind Clan because I was curious as to why it was a Wind Clan person who got to pop out into this next world. So the Native American tribes all regarded the winds as the power of the spirits of the 4 cardinal points. And the Wind Clans within tribes were generally acknowledged for leadership, for peacemaking, and for adopting those without a tribe.
Hi, I'm also not Reverend Lisa. But this is her sermon, though Reverend Lisa did say I could tweak the language at the beginning a bit so it would feel more natural to me. So this is called This Land is Their Land. This land is their land, perhaps a harder thing to say for us than the song so many of us grew up on, This Land is Our Land. Tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, what once was traditionally called Columbus Day. It turns out that in Massachusetts, the decision of what to call this holiday is made by each town. Federally and even statewide, it's still Columbus Day. A day to honor Christopher Columbus, who, by modern accounts, in despite of his self-taught knowledge about the world, could still not see others as human. He enslaved and mutilated indigenous people, was arrested by the Spanish government for brutality to Spanish colonies, stripped of his title of governor, and brought back to Spain in chains. I don't think this is a man or a legacy we should be celebrating, though of course some may disagree. Here in Wayland, we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, a day to honor the culture and history of those who were first on this land, the first people. And today, as we honor that history, we'll hear about efforts towards justice and repair in the Land Back movement. We know that land was stolen from Native Americans who had been living here for at least 12,000 years before the first explorers and colonists arrived. The land that was claimed for Spain was their land, though indigenous people did not recognize property rights as such. Some tribes had hunting and fishing grounds, some had land they had planted and harvested. Many tribes moved camp seasonally, following game, gathering the fruits and nuts, trading goods with other tribes. Their lives were more communal, the focus on protecting, sheltering, and feeding family and community. The arrival of white colonists disrupted all of that, eventually claiming and stealing native land, limiting tribal movement to federally managed reservations, and removing Native children to boarding schools. This is uncomfortable history, very uncomfortable. This is a history that we would rather not own. It's much easier to say, that was then, it wasn't us, it isn't now. So we're not revisiting this very uncomfortable history today to promote guilt or shame, because those emotions just freeze us in place. Guilt and shame limit our thinking, and what we really need is fresh thinking. But before we can think afresh, we need to acknowledge what has happened. We cannot erase history again because we might feel uncomfortable. It's especially true for us as UUs with our shared value of justice and equity. When we consider the idea of repair, which is what we're talking about, how to repair centuries-old injustice and harm, there are three things we need to do. First, we need to listen, to learn, and understand the harm that has been done. Second, we need to allow ourselves to feel remorse and sorrow for so much that has been lost, so much that cannot be repaired. And third, we need to consider what is ours to do. How can we make connections, be open to different ideas? Can we wonder together? What repair can we make? How can we participate? Land Back, as you heard in the offering words, is a movement to return protection and stewardship of lands which historically belonged to Indigenous people to members of local tribes. Land Back requires trust in Indigenous wisdom, openness to old and new ideas of caring for land and waters. It is a big ask, yet what was stolen was big too. When Lisa came to terms with this reality in recent years, she learned a lot from her friend Craig Simpson, and the story of his personal involvement in the Land Back movement is going to come next. So this is an abbreviated version of Craig's Land Back story, which he gave permission to share. So from now on until quite a bit, this is actually Craig speaking. I'm now Craig. Okay, just follow along here. In the spring of 2022, in my 76th birthday, I gave the Native Land Conservancy the deed and keys to my Cape Cod cottage. It was a modest two-bedroom escape with a wonderful screened-in porch surrounded by an acre of towering old trees and Cape foliage. It was the place where I could relax. This is my story. It began in 2016, where Craig spent 2 months hiking the Camino Santiago in Spain, processing his life, how much he had, and what little he needed. The Camino is a 500-mile path. Often you're alone for days. You're encouraged to think about what you've done in your life, what you might still need to do. Somewhere in those mountains, Craig realized he would be happier living with less. He had given up his car, given up meat, and he realized the biggest thing he owned was a cottage, an acre of land on Cape Cod, a house he wasn't living in while others were houseless. Not long after he returned home, Craig attended a powwow on Mashpee Wampanoag tribal land in southeastern Massachusetts. The Wampanoag have lived in southeastern Massachusetts for more than 12,000 years. Craig knew the history of what had happened to the Wampanoag, despite their generous aid to the newly arrived settlers that first winter. Still, many Wampanoag remained in the area, their descendants living in Mashpee. They lost their language, however, were forced to hide their spiritual and cultural practices, and struggled to gain federal recognition. At the powwow, Craig learned about Native Land Conservancy, a Wampanoag project that rescues land and restores it to its original state. The NLC was training Indigenous youth in traditional ways of taking care of the land. And after talking with an NLC leader, Craig walked away having made the decision to give his house to their organization. Of course, many friends were not so sure about this decision. "Oh, you don't want to sell your cottage, it's an investment," they insisted. "You have to worry about yourself, you're not getting any younger." Craig then spoke to Ramona, a Mashpee tribal elder and founder of the Native Land Conservancy. She asked questions about the house and land, what it meant to him, and how he was connected to it. She asked about his motivations, his life, and his experiences with Indigenous people. She asked about his specifications. He said he had none. Whatever they wanted to do with the house and land was fine by him. It would be fully theirs. He knew the Native Land Conservancy would do whatever they needed to do, even if it meant selling the cottage or exchanging lands with others. Craig says that when Ramona told him the Native Land Conservancy would take the cottage and land, he cried. He was so overcome with happiness and gratitude. He says he's never regretted his decision to give this land back to its original owners. 2 summers ago, after months of remodeling and painting, Indigenous youth from around the country stayed in the Cape Cod cottage. They traveled there to learn about Indigenous conservation practices so they can continue restoring the land. This has become an annual event. The Wampanoag tribal leaders he met at that powwow call Craig often and invite him to events and happenings in the region. He says he now has new friends, an unexpected new community. And embarrassingly enough, says Craig, the house has been renamed Simpson Cottage. I guess that's okay. So Reverend Lisa says, "I wish you could meet Craig. He's one of the most modest people I know. He's also one of the most sincere and committed people when it comes to social justice. He's 79 years old, and you'll still see him on the front lines of protests and demonstrations. We're not all going to put our money or our land where our mouth is, as they say, like Craig. But Reverend Lisa and I too think his story is quite an inspiration. It's one man's bold answer to, what is it that I can do?" So the land back movement can actually look a lot of different ways. Many nations are finding ways to regain some of the ancestral terrain they lost by purchasing property, cultivating land donations, and partnering with conservation groups and agencies. Audubon magazine reports that while tribes have been reclaiming homeland since at least the early 1900s, and numerous obstacles and challenges still exist, land back is picking up momentum. Land forms the jurisdiction for tribal nations. The more inside their boundaries, the more solidified their sovereignty is. Each tribe has its own reasons for acquisition, such as building much needed affordable housing. Many are acting with expansive conservation vision, aiming to heal generational trauma, enhance their culture and language, and revive traditional hunting, gathering, and cultivation practices, all while protecting and restoring key habitats and wildlife species, and often welcoming public visitors. We don't all have land that we can deed to a local tribe, but there are other ways to participate. Raising money, as we have done in our offering today, is definitely one important way. Or we might check out the events hosted by the Native Land Conservancy on Cape Cod throughout the year to learn Indigenous ways of caring for the earth, observe and monitor plants and animals, and even join cooking and photography workshops. There are a lot of ways to experience local tribal culture, as well as to learn how to be a good steward of the earth. We might also consider participating in the Indigenous National Day of Mourning, or Unthanksgiving Day, on November 27th in Plymouth. This powerful event, which is live streamed, commemorates Indigenous resilience in the face of systemic genocide, land theft, and cultural erasure, while also serving as a powerful protest against the continued oppression of Native peoples. This event has also expressed solidarity with other oppressed peoples, most recently Palestinians. Support for Indigenous people in our vicinity is not only good for the tribal members who still exist here in New England, it's good for us, reminding us of our shared history and relearning ancient ways to care for the earth we share. Holding space for the truth, both past and present, isn't easy. But the honesty and the opportunity for self-reflection it provides is surely worth the effort. As we connect more deeply to the first people of this country, it connects us to all our ancestors. In the words of poet Joy Harjo, a spark of kindness made a light. The light made an opening in the darkness. Everyone worked together to make a ladder. A Wind Clan person climbed out first into the next world, and then the other clans, the children of those clans, their children, and their children, all the way through time to now, into this morning light, to you. May it be so. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 163 in the Gray Hymnal, For the Earth Forever Turning.
Thank you.
These are the words of Laura Bogle. We remember today that this is our home, but not just ours. The land we live on, this water we drink, this air we breathe, these forests that give us their healing green, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us our daily bread, these stars that show us our place. The wilderness and the tame backyards, all of it is our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land and who have shaped it. We inherit their choices. We envision the future generations who will live on this land and let their voices fill our hearts. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. May it be so. Go in peace.